with song as the sea, and our tongues will fill with joyful song as its crashing waves. We could not sufficiently give thanks to thee. Even if our lips were filled with acclamation like the expanse of the sky, and our eyes were shining like the sun, the moon and the stars, we could not sufficiently give thanks to thee. For the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and multitudes of kindnesses you have done for our fathers and for us. We could not sufficiently give thanks to thee. We could not sufficiently give thanks to thee. We could not sufficiently give thanks to thee. We could not sufficiently give even if our hands were spread out as the eagle's wings, and our feet were nimble as the deer, tripping on the mountains, we could not sufficiently give thanks to thee. Thousands and multitudes of kindnesses you have done for our fathers and for us. We could not sufficiently, we could not sufficiently, we could not sufficiently give thanks. Therefore these limbs you carved out for us, the spirit and soul you breathed into us, the tongues that you placed in our mouths, these will give thanks, bless, acclaim, glorify, lift up, sanctify and enthrone your name. The breath of every living thing will bless your name. The breath of every living thing will bless your name. The breath of every living thing will bless your name. Nishmat Kol Hai.
Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I am today I'm fleeing from a storm. We had flights tomorrow to fly to Florida with my protest on my face, my big fat protest. Good morning. And the storm is upon us, so to speak. So we changed our flights, and we're literally just jumping on a plane, and we're going to walk out of the house in 40 minutes to get to the airport and beat this thing and get ahead of it and get down to where we need to do and do the stuff we need to do and be where God wants us to be and all that good thing. But I wanted to hop in and say hi to you guys because I am traveling this week. I don't know when I'll be on. I'm going to let sort of that be a flow. I'm somebody who kind of needs to recoup before I can pour out, and I don't want to just waste your time. And I think part of what we're going through is that inner, that sap and the maple tree thing that happens when the sap stops running, and we pull in during the winter months, and there's a preservation, a hibernation, a preservation. At the same time, there's a lot of things going on. So there might be an inner kind of pulling in and reorientation and equilibrium that I think we all need to get to, which is the reality of out there and in here and what we know in here. So we will not be storm tossed, right, by what's going on. So thank you. So in any event, thank you for sharing this. Don't say be safe, say be dangerous. I never think safe. I think dangerous. Thinking be safe, stay safe, I get what you're saying, bless you, but I'm just saying that's one of the things that is a programming meme, stay safe. No! Stay engaged, stay loving, stay dangerous to the enemy at all times, stay confident, stay outgoing, stay risking in the love of God. So that's what I say. Nope, I'm going to go out and be as dangerous as I possibly can against the purposes of the enemy. And I have to say, traveling, I was upset because I am absolutely, my stand on masks. You know that they're programming, they're control, they're brainwashing, they're signs of submission. They're the whole thing. When a higher purpose will take you somewhere, then I switch to how can I shake the tree as much as possible. And so I have protests masks. My one today is going to say masks equal mind control. How's that for subtle? And then the interesting thing was that we then don't do what they tell us to do. We do the absolute bare minimum because we're not just going along like little sheeple, but the bare minimum of what is required. But in any event, the interesting thing was I noticed last time we traveled and I had some of these same concerns and objections. I had really powerful ministry times. I had divine appointments with people that I shared the gospel with, prayed with, led someone to Christ, doing these things by being out in despite what I would have, avoided, right? Because even on principle. So I'm looking forward to see what God is going to do. Again on this trip, but I don't know when I'm going to be connecting with you guys. I want to wait until there's like an overflow. So I did want to hop on today, and I want to thank you for sharing this out and helping. We're going to have to figure out new ways to do these things in the future, which makes us resilient, right? Have you noticed one of the most amazing things about being in our tribes and being MAGA is that it says. It's in the word. It says your enemy comes at you one way, but he'll flee 7 ways, or this kind of thing. Or he comes at you and you multiply back out. This kind of persecution, censorship, platform switching makes us very creative and helps us grow. Like I've had to grow the Telegram thing. Somebody invited me. It was Lisa Perner invited me into her Telegram chat, and my first thought was absolute roll of the eyes. Because I don't want to learn a new thing, and I don't want to be in a thing, and I'm kind of like not a major joiner. But I thought about it, and I thought, well, I love these people, so I did. And you know what? Now, where are we communicating? In some of these places where we might have said no, we might have backed off. And as you change and grow and get older, it's less and less easy to learn new things. So how much better is it for us to be adapting, to be super adaptable right now, and to go, okay, well, I'm going to do that. Well, then how we do it this way? Or you want me to do that? Well, how about I do this? I've told you guys before that I have a son, and when I would tell him to sit at the table and say, stop wiggling, he would bounce, and he would go, I'm not wiggling, I'm bouncing. And I go, stop bouncing, and he'd go, I'm swaying. Stop swaying. I'm gyrating. He literally would go through I should have just said be still, but the funny thing was to watch his mind work. When I would create a restriction, he would create an alternative that was more creative because of the lockdown, so to speak. And this is creativity. We are way, way more creative in restriction. If you really want people to create output, like if in an artistic sense, if you just throw a blank canvas at somebody and say, here, paint, most people will freak out and panic and worry and get anxious and go, oh my gosh, well, that's like the whole world and it's like a big gaping hole. But if you say to someone, I want you to use 3 colors, I want you to cut out 3 images of collage pieces of 3 different landscapes that mean something to you. I want you to use these 3 colors to blah, 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 and you can only do within this amount of thing and 5 strokes and whatever it is, and you will find that people will use those limitations and they'll be more free and more creative because they were pressured to think and to, but if you give the whole world to somebody, chances are they won't actually be as creative. Haven't you found that to be true, that if you need to get something done or something you have to have input on and somebody gives you, here are your choices, pick 3, these colors, these things, whatever, you can actually find that it's not so overwhelming. So the current restrictions are making us more focused, more creative, more resilient. Okay, and that's a good thing. And we are being continually underestimated. We talked about that. Just because I might be polite and gracious and, kind in some ways, don't underestimate me, because I am a force to be reckoned with, and you are too. And so I want to encourage you in that. So, and as we're in this place where we are absolutely 110% sold out that God has not given up America, that 45 is not going anywhere, that the current show and an illusion will not stand, and that God is at work in the earth, we stand there and we pull in to that inner knowing and that inner knowledge, right? Like the sap running deep within a tree that preserves it through the winter. And then at the same time, though, so that's our inner thing. So sometimes maybe less voices are good. I'm slowly, to some extent, weaning myself from needing to have so many voices, I think. Although some people are really fun right now. Have you noticed there's less of them, but there are people that you're kind of gravitating toward that are helping you. And then you begin to sort of see that cream rises to the top, right? All that is good. All that is good. And so as we pull in to hear that still small voice, that feather, I'm not finished with the painting. You see the painting? That was a limitation God gave me that made me way more creative. You see the black canvas right there? That was really pretty. Let's see if I can do this. It was originally like flames. It were all these kind of colors. This is fun. But then in the midst of, right after January 20th, God said, paint that whole thing black. It became this black canvas with all these textures underneath it. And then came the shape that I thought might be a flame, but it was a feather. And it's turned into a quill pen. So a lot of possibilities, but it was sparked by the limitation of having severe limitation. You're going to put one color on this canvas, you're going to color the whole thing. How creative can you be? One color everything else, blot out a painting, and again, that is an enormous amount of creativity. And there are a lot of concepts that came out, and then we talked about the creativity in the darkness, how creative darkness actually is. Can be for good things. I mean, deeply good things, the secret place, of dwelling with the Most High, right? Anyway, so that I'm not done with that. But I've got to go and do some stuff out of state, and so we'll see how our communications go for the next few days. But I want to just encourage you again that everything is local, and everything you need to do, what you need to do has not changed one little bit. whatever happens up here, whatever happens, with the plan and the globe and the secret stuff and the machinations of powerful people and institutions, that should not change at all what you do every day to get up and face and who you go after. And I had a very encouraging week. This was my get back week. I started Monday getting up. I started writing on my book again, a new book, which had kind of fizzled over the last 6-7 weeks. And that was a big thing. It was like being reintroduced to a friend that I had a falling out with, and I had to make up with, like this manuscript I'm working on, and my son helped me with that. That was good, but also we started a home gathering. We started home church this week. We strategized together, some people, about the best way to skin the cat from a community level, and came up with new plans. There were strategic conversations and face-to-face meetings and outreaches and very, very effective, personal, old school connections. This is the new thing, is the one-on-ones, the people at your dinner table, the people who you invite, the people you go to visit, the people that you get in front of and you say, you knock on their door without a mask and hand them a cookie and say, I'm here, I'm your neighbor. I care about you. I want to know you. Here's what we can do. And it can be done in so many different ways. It can be done just in terms of friendship and creating like a block party, who's got your back type of thing. It can be in the arena of taking back your schools and your law enforcement and your influence on your local boards and identifying. It can be in terms of who you need to be sharing the gospel with or who you need to gather in fellowship and community. I have to say, these very simple, basic things of phone calls, visiting people, connecting over projects, planning, not huge numbers of people, just people that have been separated and isolated, and they all make waves into other families and other things. And I have felt the force multiplication of these kind of connections right here within 5 miles. Everything that we need to do is within a 5-mile radius from most of the time. Remember, Proverbs says, better is a neighbor that is nearby than a brother who's far away. And so your beeswax, minding your beeswax, is super powerful. Imagine pastries to new neighbors, maskless, bring God's. Yes, and I'll tell you what, Faith, was that not one of the more powerful, positive things that you experienced this whole time? Every time I go to someone's door, I take them little goodies, is one of the things I'm doing. And they receive me with a smile. And they see me without my mask, and they are like, hi, how are you? Every time, or even if they have a mask or whatever, but there's some connection. I feel like, woohoo! I feel like I ran through the end zone with my football every time. Every new face, every person who will give me a hug, every person who's happy to see me, every person who says, wow, that's a good idea, I appreciate that. Every risk where I knock on the door and I leave my goodies if they're not there in my note, or I go, every single one of them gives me the best charge of encouragement. I am getting so much out of it. The phone calls I'm making and saying to people, okay, all right, this happened here in this context. What's really going on? What do we need to know? The follow-up, the gathering with other strategic people, looking for strategic people and saying, here's a problem, let's figure out a solution. You guys, so powerful. And you know what I'm finding? That, I'm so thankful, Faith. Get out of your quiet cave, that's right. And every time I go out, like I had to go pick up a piece of equipment, and it's this town that's got this massive mask mandate. And I told you last week that I planned it on my calendar because it was something I would have much rather avoided doing. Well, my husband came with me and we picked up coffee and we had a chat. And when we went up there and they brought the piece of equipment out to me, but just even going was kind of like so we turned it into a date, and we went, and then the kid came out and I asked how I could pray for him. He's like, I don't know, that's kind of weird. I never thought of it. And I fixed my eyes in his eyes and I said, do you have any idea how much God loves you? You need to know that. You need to know how much God loves you. I just took the moment above his mask, stared right into his eyes, and then I released the presence of God and went about my way. I would never have done that in my avoidance. Okay? My daughter led a friend to Christ this week. My daughter went off to a martial arts class and afterwards wound up ministering to a kid who was hating, had self-hatred, and she cried. She did spiritual warfare on him. She called him out to repent of porn addiction. It was just your basic walk in the park. And she ministered to someone else in her class. She stuck her little neck out because one of the things that we decided to do, Greg Harvey, by the way, Greg, I'm coming to your state today, so you should feel the force change, okay? You're going to feel the force change. We land at about 11, okay? You should feel the whole state just kind of rock. But one of the things that I decided, and this is your fear-free thing. You got to mind your beeswax. You got to get your stuff dealt with. You guys, if you have an area of chaos in your life, small or large, that is right in front of you that you have not been dealing with, thanks, Trigia. Like, for example, a pile of papers. There's so much anxiety in a pile of papers. There's a lot of anxiety in a pile of papers. A dirty closet that you open up and every time you can't get to anything. One closet. Stuff under your bed. A bathroom you haven't cleaned. Somebody you know you need to call and you haven't called. The other thing that happened this week is that we had a guest for dinner and I didn't want it. It was hard. This is a guest who is from an entirely different political and culture, and also very, very, very upside down in many ways, but incredible. And came into our home because a friend of daughter, she led this person to Christ, and this person was scared of us. And I wasn't scared, but it wasn't like something, when you know somebody's coming and you don't know what it's like, you sort of feel that, well, okay, I don't know, I'm not really looking forward to this. And as this person sat at our table, the love that began to flow. And I said, well, how is it for you coming to our house? And the report was, well, I got a lot of pushback because people said, you're going to go eat dinner with the Trump-supporting Christians? Oh my gosh. And the response was, I had a great time when I was with them before. They were wonderful, but I got to tell you, it was hard. It was scary. I thought you were going to be like this, and I thought you were going to get after me about this issue and so forth. I would rather, okay, let me tell you about the fear arc. When you're doing something that you'd rather not do, that makes you uncomfortable, like facing the papers, because procrastination is fear, okay? Avoidance is fear. It's just subtle, all right? When you, what happens is there's a lot of hidden anxiety between every piece of paper. What if I'm overwhelmed? What if I have to do this? Some people have problems with hoarding because every item requires a decision, and people are overwhelmed by decisions and afraid of making the right decision or afraid of wasting things. So an unclean closet, a set of papers that has not been dealt with, bills that haven't been paid, having someone over at your house, reaching out to someone who you need to speak to, there's anxiety between all of the layers of that. And so you just think it's just a pile of paper, but I'm telling you, if you take care of beeswax, if you take care of that, you are going to feel great. You might also process through some grief, some stuff you might get going and have a wave of emotion come to the surface where you're all of a sudden looking at, Mark, my husband's mom was a hoarder because she went through the Great Depression. And so, she was easily overwhelmed. But when she cleaned her couch off, she was so happy. And these are the things we need to do because it changes us. And when we take care of business, we're empowered and we process through a lot of stuff that we're internalizing. So don't be, if it's a physical thing, it's important to do it because it will take you into the emotional things. If you'll start cleaning some closets and some bathrooms and organizing maybe your spoons in your drawer, or you're taking your spices out and wiping them down and putting them back in, or getting your car washed, cleaning stuff out. Little things actually help you deal with the anxiety that's hidden in them. And if you have a meltdown along the way, you stop and you say, wow, what is the significance of this pile of papers? What am I believing about this that has nothing to do with the papers, right? It has nothing to do with the papers. It's about what's going on inside of you. Or having this person over for dinner. What's going on inside of me and what can I overcome? And putting myself in those situations on purpose in a measured, thoughtful way. And if you're really, really overwhelmed by certain things that you need to be doing, you get a buddy. And you go, you and I are both kind of messies. And how about our refrigerator? There's stuff in there that's green. How about we both have Mai Tais and refrigerator cleaning day and we'll FaceTime each other? I mean, seriously. Force multiply with other people in your community. And keep it local, keep it simple, keep it focused. You will wind up being rock star if you can take care of your beeswax. And you'll find that other things are not, and as doing that, it prepares you for some of these deeper layer things that you and I want to avoid. I'm telling you, having this guest for dinner, pushing me beyond my comfort zone, having some strategic planning meetings with some people in my community about how to think smarter rather than just beating our heads against the proverbial political walls that inevitably are in community, getting out and driving around and knocking on doors and meeting people and dropping things off and inviting people to a special event we've got coming up, writing some letters to people in positions across my state that need to hear on an issue, sending out some alerts in the community, calling a couple people up who were not functioning in a super functional way, and asking them what's going on, what's your progress on this group thing, what's happening, how can we solve that, getting people together. Because of doing that and getting on the phone and calling people and reaching out, we identified 3 strategic members of our community who have never stepped up into leadership ever before that are now going to do it. And we've got plans for how do we support one another? How do we love one another? And these little choices about how to bring order and goodness and community and connection, every hug I got, every smile I got, every place I went that was uncomfortable for me to go, it was like a yay, whoa, 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 whoa. And I can tell you what, we could have gotten His Majesty the Geodis back in with a gorgeous inauguration dress and a ball 2 weeks ago, and never moved the needle in our communities, and that would be a tragedy. So whatever's happening up here, my friends, it should not change what you get up to do every day. So yes, do you, Julie, what you need to do, respond. All right. What you need to do, literally, is start knocking on doors in your neighborhood. I'm totally serious with cookies. Something to leave off, a note. I want you guys to have dinner parties, home fellowships, and block community events. Whatever your focus is, that's up to you. Home fellowship group, worship. Don't wait for your church to open. You do it. Okay? Get some people over for dinner. Have somebody over, and and plan on a block party. Have a good old-fashioned barbecue block party. Have a outdoor winter event with a fire pit, beer, marshmallows, because people kind of like the spacey thing. So have an outdoor event with your barbecue blazing. Rent a heater. Throw some hay bales out. Grab some beer. Let the guys smoke some cigars. Play some music out in your backyard. And you be the one that gets get a neighborhood block party going. You'll know immediately, hi, I'm so-and-so. I just want you to know that in times like these, I care about my neighbors. Here's a cookie, and I'm having this thing. Do you think you might want to come to an outdoor DDD, whatever thing? And you'll know within seconds whether they're happy to see you, whether they're scared. And you can just say, I really love America, and I love people. And you'll find out. You will find out, and you can make notes. Okay, when we were out doing this, and I had a list, and if I put a big, huge smiley face with teeth, that meant they were a good prospect. Somebody that in a tribe that I got there, we're gonna like. Okay, stay in contact with these people. If they were, please, and I kind of let them know, which side of was I blue or red? That was the point. I was kind of identifying like-minded people, who are the red people. And if they were, then I would put a smiley face but no teeth. If they were, pleasant but not really happy to see me. If they were, I had a kind of average. If they were like whatever, or if they were scared, like, oh my God, made a note. And then I just begin to identify those people, right? And look, 3 blocks around your house, you could change the world. You could change the world by touching people within a 3-block radius of your house. You totally could change your world, your community, your relationships. And what I'm finding is people that were happy to see us. I was working with a list of like-minded people, but still, most of the people I've never met, I've got 2,200 more people to meet. So we got started, and it's changing me. It's changing them, and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, nobody ever was this positive before. Nobody ever talked about winning. They just talked about what the latest crisis was and who, what pitchforks we had to raise and what committees we had to get on." And I'm like, no, we want to build a community of people who care about each other, who have each other's backs. We can laugh, we can meet, and we do stuff out of passion and encouragement and strategy. What's wrong with that? You guys could do that all day long and twice on Sundays. Clean your closet. Wipe out your refrigerator. Deal with a pile of papers. Make a few phone calls. Talk to a few people you've been avoiding just to say, hey, sorry I haven't been in touch. Try to pick up the phone. Don't make it all just texts and stuff like that. You know who you're avoiding. Even if it's somebody who's been bugging you and you need to get back to them and say, I just got to be honest with you. I can't do what you're asking me to do. Get it done. Get her done. Okay? Go through your emails. Clean them out. But I want you to be physical. I want you to get out of your house. Knock on doors. Pick up the phone. Clean under your bed. Go out in your neighborhood. You are going to feel awesome. You are going to feel awesome. And it's so healthy for you. And you can plan your risks. The things that scare you, plan them. Plan your support. Okay? You can do this. And honestly, this is major fear-free, living-free advice. You should be paying for this. Just saying. I'm kidding. But, by the way, you can support me on Subscribestar and get free one-on-one coaching. Would you like to do that? Go to subscribestar.com, Julie Lavender. You can get one of my tiers of support. Would you like one-on-one coaching for fear and anxiety and life change? It's simply at your fingertips. Share this out. I'm going to be traveling. I'll see you. I'm going to go to Florida and see what God has for us there. In the meantime, take care of BEESWAX. It really changes your brain. It lowers your anxiety level. It gives you a sense of confidence that you can do more stuff that probably is more scary to you, right? So do something that scares you. Knock on some doors. Literally, go up to your neighbors. Come on, people. Find out who they are. It's awesome. All right. I will talk to you all soon. God bless you. You know what? Muted by moderator. Oh, that's good. Let's just take care of it right now. All right, you guys. Winning. We've just begun. Do you know the scripture says that Christ always leads us in triumph wherever we go? Everywhere we go, we do go to win. We win over the enemy. We win over fear, anxiety. We win people to us as friends, neighbors, followers of Christ. I only hang out with winners. So that's you and me, baby. I will talk to you soon. Go do something that scares you.